For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love. Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work. Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
And Danielle. Hello.
Hello.
And we are twins
Cheers.
today. How are you?
Yes, we're Santa's twins or elf twins.
Yes, we are. And we're wearing our Hanukkah blue today.
Yes. Happy Hanukkah weekend, everyone.
Happy Hanukkah weekend. And it's Hanukkah weekend. It's the last weekend before Christmas. And there's so much to celebrate. Today is also the last quarter moon. And as I said to you before we went live today, I almost feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I was doing a little research on the last quarter moon. And the last quarter moon is actually also considered the letting go moon. And of course, as we all know, letting go is the territory with Kasira McKee and myself. We did speak earlier today. She sends her love to everybody. But today you and I are here. I asked you to do today, and you and I are going to hopefully continue to do this on the last quarter moon of each month. And the next last quarter moon is also on a Sunday next month on the 15th. So hopefully...
so maybe we could do a combo show. Let that go.
With Kasira. I'm thinking, we're all on the same wavelength. So I want to ask you, and then who or what are you celebrating today?
Well, I'm celebrating the start of Hanukkah weekend. I'm someone that grew up with a lot of traditions because of family and friends. And of course, because of my work, I research and have gotten into many religious traditions and pantheons. So I really appreciate as many of the holidays as possible. And also that we made it, honestly, to this point in the year, because it was a hard year for a lot of people. A lot of people were tying up a lot of loose ends, and very unexpected things came up for a lot of people. So it doesn't quite feel real yet that we're here in the last couple weeks of the year, but I'm celebrating that we made it, and we can all look forward to better as we enter a new year, hopefully.
But I'm also very excited about the new year. Saturn is going to be leaving Aquarius, my sign, and going into Pisces and everything. I know this is going to sound very woo-woo for a lot of people out there, but I'm a woo-woo person, and I know you are too.
Yes.
But just join us on this journey. There's a lot of incredible possibilities for the new year, and I'm very excited about it.
Saturn is all about, actually, the last quarter moon is pretty resonant with Saturn energy, whether its placement is there or not, because Saturn is a lot about karma, about clearing and tying things up. Last quarter moon is not only a time of letting go, but seeing maybe what debts you want to pay, what debts you want to clear, and debts can be physical, financial, or they can be karmic as well.
So anything that you want to bring to the table before we bring our first guest on today?
Well, I just want to also preface, I am not an astrologer by my main trade. I am much more a channeler and an energy healer and a reader. So I know we have our friend who's an astrologer here, Sherry, in the comments. But I would also love to talk about the holidays and the energy aspects. Lately on my podcast, I've been focusing on grief during the holidays, or I know as you have the different aspects of what giving and receiving could mean. And I know that I was just in touch with someone this morning who lost a relative, and a lot of people do lose loved ones. Thank you. I know a lot of people do lose loved ones during the holiday season or have lost loved ones. So I just want to be mindful of that and let people know if you have questions today, or if you want advice on how to embrace the holidays more in a way that feels good for you. If you maybe still have some grief floating around or resurfacing during this time, I would love to speak about that as well.
And I also want to acknowledge Twitch, who from the Ellen show, who chose to check out during the holidays for whatever reasons. We never know what someone else is going through. Suicide is something that is hard to grasp to wrap our heads around. I had a dear friend, I will mention by name, Jean-Claude Baker from Chez Josephine.
Mm.
Many years ago, my husband Danny and I were having dinner with him on a Saturday night, drinking champagne, having a wonderful time with him. And on Thursday following that, we woke to the news that he had taken his life. And it was a choice. And this was not a spur of the moment decision. This was something that was planned. And this was something that had been really thought out for a long time. We later found out. It's something that we don't understand. And it's really hard for us to wrap our heads around. So my heart goes out to his family, his children, and anyone who was touched by this. And when I say anyone who was touched by this, we're all touched by it.
Right. And I've, I can't say fortunately, but I've been blessed to work with people on both sides of the aspect of suicide. I am also from the belief that every death is a choice on a higher level of our soul when we actually decide to check out. But when someone makes that decision without other factors involved, such as illness, there's a lot that goes into that. And there's a lot that their soul then has to deal with. So I always like to recommend that people, if they are so inclined, pray for the family, of course, because it's very hard on the family and friends who are left here wondering and grappling with the questions, but also for the soul of that person, which is a tradition that happens within almost all spectrums, including Buddhism, not only Christianity. And if we can pray for the soul of that person, they can sort of be lifted up with those prayers, and whatever karmas they may have brought about on themselves by taking that action, which it's not a punishment. I do like to let people know no soul gets punished from what I've seen and experienced on both sides of the veil. Deity is very understanding and loving and compassionate with people that choose to go that route. However, when we make that decision to end a journey and bypass certain lessons that we have assigned for this life and maybe cause more upsets for those who are left behind, sometimes there are repercussions to that. So it did not become a sin, actually, until St. Augustine made it a doctrinated sin in the Middle Ages, simply because actually at that point in time, many clergy members were taking their life to leave the Dark Ages and go be with their creator. So there is still a lot that's misunderstood about it. I've worked with children and their parents, who have undergone suicide. And I do like to remind people, because sometimes the righteousness comes up during times like this, it's not going to be a punishment. There is still love there, and there's healing to be done on both sides of life for those who went and those who are still here.
Amen. And God bless you for saying that. So I'm going to let you, normally we have one of our audience members choose our first guest. I'm going to let you choose today. So pick a number 1 through 4. You may be able to even see who's there. I think you
I'm not going to look. I'm just going to
Okay.
pick number 2.
And that's our dear friend Ron. Ron has seen you from afar. Yes, Ron is here. Ron is someone that Ron and I will say the wonderful thing about this year, especially, is that Ron on Friday afternoons has had a virtual cocktail hour. I've gotten a chance to know Ron through these cocktail hours when I've been able to attend them. So I appreciate you opening up your home for those opportunities, Ron. But Ron, you have also seen Danielle from afar here. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you, who or what are you celebrating at this time beyond the obvious that we're all celebrating right now?
Well, of course, the obvious, as you said so eloquently, Danielle, is that we are celebrating the end of a very strange year. And I think it's a year that's been filled with inconsistencies and a lot of expectations that didn't happen and things that we didn't expect that did happen. Just a couple of months ago, I had a very close friend, a college buddy, who suddenly fell down a flight of stairs, had a massive stroke, and was gone. And and maybe it was the fact that it wasn't a suicide. Here was someone who was perfectly healthy, or at least seemed so, and someone whom I'd had dinner with just a few weeks before. And to have someone who is important in your life just disappear like that is very strange, and I'm still not quite over that, but I am celebrating the coming year, and a lot of great things I think are happening. At least for me, I have two different musicals that I'm writing. One of which looks like it's going to be getting some readings in the spring, and that's something I think may interest you, Danielle. It's a musical adaptation of Rashomon, which of
Okay.
course has a lot of philosophy and a lot of Buddhism in it. And the other one is a much more old-fashioned, very romantic 1950s style musical in the style of Lerner and Loewe. But it's unfortunately not something that I can name yet because we're still working out the copyright issues.
But I know
But
all
we're
about it, and I'm excited
and
about it.
well, thank you,
Yes,
Richard, and
it's
I'm
exciting,
excited too.
everybody. It's exciting.
And we're very, very optimistic about that, about both of them. And I'm just so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me today, and I'm so glad to meet you, Danielle. And I'm
I'm so
also a
glad to meet you
Pisces.
formally, Ron. I'm sorry about your friend,
Thank
but
you.
congratulations on everything else you've got going on.
Well,
But
thank you.
I would,
And I am a
can I
Pisces,
jump in
and
for just a moment,
sure,
Ron? I want to say
sure.
something because you just said something that jumped out at me, and about your friend disappearing. I don't think he's disappeared. I think he, when Carol passed away, Carol Channing, and I was at her memorial, Tyne Daly read a very beautiful poem about her being in the next room, and it resonated
Mm,
so deeply with me. And there are daily, not only with Carol, but for all that I feel that I've lost, I don't think of them anymore as being lost because I do have daily reminders of them being in the
mm,
next room. And you can't physically see them,
yeah.
but if you really take the time, you will feel their presence. And I'm sure that Daniel will agree with me on this. Really take the time to feel his presence. You will know that he very much is in the next room.
That is so lovely, and I appreciate and celebrate that sentiment so much because you're absolutely right. And I think that as long as dear friends remember one another and think of one another, then they're never really gone. And that's
Yes. And
very,
that's
very
why,
true.
I encourage people to have conversations with one another, which we've spoken about before. Make little signs ahead of time, even if there's no
Mm,
illness or anything on the horizon. Make signs and agreements with one another of, I like butterfly, I like elephant, I like the number 12. And so then you have a sign so that when you see it and receive it after someone has left, you have already established that as a sign for the two of you, and you've established that belief, and so you could more easily receive them in your life. And even though he's passed over already, you can still set a sign for interacting with him. But I also honor, your sentiment and your feelings and your grief, because I know for me as a medium, primarily a large part of my career before I got into the other aspects as well, people would assume that I did not have to grieve people that I lost in my life
mm.
because I was still able to have conversation with them or more interaction than is typical. And so regardless of them being in the next room and us having connection, no matter how connected you are, we do still need to honor the fact that the connection is different and grieve the physical aspect or the same type of communication aspect that we're used to having with our loved ones.
Sure. I think any kind of change in our lives is always difficult to deal with, and even if you're someone who likes change, there's always a process. And
Right.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Thank you.
So I would like to bring our next guest on, but before I bring
Sure.
on, one of the aspects that I bring along every Friday is the mystery question. So you get to pull a question, 1 through 5, and it will be your mystery question of the day.
Oh my gosh, 4.
And your question is, um, whatever rooms you walk into, speaking of rooms, listen to this, you
Wow.
change the atmosphere in a positive way. Is there a particular room in your home that is your favorite room that you spend most of your time in?
Wow. Well, yes, I guess it's this room that I'm in right now. I spend most of my day here, and I work from home, like most performer, actor, writers. I have a survival job or a day job, which I do from home, and so I work from this room. I create from this room. Uh, I'm surrounded by photographs and as you can see, myriad books that I love very dearly, and many of which are my wife's, but I love them too. And yes, so the short answer is it's this room here, and I know my wife would love for me to say that it's one of the other rooms in our apartment, but this is the one where I feel the most creativity.
This is the room where it happens.
Right.
So that's okay. So you get to bring on our next guest, 1 through 3, and then I'm going to let Danielle take over when we bring that person on.
Cool. 3.
And that, well, this is really great because she has written her first book, and I'm very excited. It's called Facing Forward. And I'm very excited because I wrote a review and it's on the back of the book.
Wow, congrats.
So
Well
it's very
done.
exciting. And I'm going to bring her on. This is Ann Johnson. And Danielle, I'm going to turn it over to you. Ann, meet
Hi,
Dan
hon.
and Ron.
Hi,
Happy
Anne.
holiday.
Hi, Anne. How are you? Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. I'm very happy, and I'm so happy with Richard's review. I put it on the back of the book. He's just incredible. He wrote a wonderful story, really, about what I wrote about. It's wonderful. Thank you, Richard.
So what's the main topic of your book?
It's a memoir,
Okay.
and it's about my life and how I lived as a kid and grew up, came to New York and fell in love with New York, went on Broadway, became a nightclub singer, met a man, got married, have a son and 4 stepsons. And it's about my book.
And is there a part of writing
And
it that was a favorite
it's about,
for you?
I'm sorry, I forgot to say this. It's about intuition and how my intuition led me to be all the things that I did. And then I became a psychic advisor, which I'm doing
That's
now.
amazing.
Yeah, and I've been doing that for a long time. I work with Ann Johnson and also the name Verushka, which
Okay.
has been a very big hit as far as people wanting to work with me because they like the name
Yes.
and the reviews, which
And
I've had
so
some
were you always awakened to your gift, or was that something that happened with a significant event in your life?
I think I lived with understanding what the intuition was doing with me all along. I think I went and followed how I felt. I followed that path, and I kind of went in places sometimes where I didn't know where I was going to be. And I tried it and it worked. I kept trying new things. And that's what I think my gift has been, is that I keep going through doors and trying new things, as I did with the book too.
Right. Yeah, I know for me, it was lifelong, but I had moments in life because of family pressures or, other aspects of growing up where I tried to shut it down and I became very ill, not honoring that part of myself and also being overloaded with energy coming to me to be shared. And in not sharing that, I actually created a lot of illnesses for myself. So when I was a child and a young teenager. So it really is something that you can't really turn off very easily or deny when it's such a part of you. So I really understand that.
Did we work together on a job about a year ago?
No.
Okay. Because I thought I recognized you. There was a girl on a job that I did for a big company, and it looked kind of like you, but we weren't together. We weren't sitting together, you know?
Right. Well, maybe you've seen me on Richard's show, and so I kind of got transposed into your mind.
Maybe
Okay.
that's what happened. That's what
That's
happened.
possible.
So, Anne, I'm going to let you pick a number 1 through 5, and then I'm going to bring on our next guest.
I like 3.
Okay, your question is, what opportunity for love or money have you given up? Well, read the book and you'll find out. And do you regret it now?
You asking me that question?
Yes, I'm asking you that question.
What did I give up? Oh, I don't think I gave very much up. I think I followed what I was feeling all along. I can't really think of something I gave up, you know. Oh, I'll tell you what I'm not doing that I love to do. I'm not singing in nightclubs right now. And that's because there's not very many clubs except Don't Tell Mama. So I didn't give it up. I would still be doing it, but unfortunately, I lost my pianist a few years ago, Tex Arnold.
Tex Arnold.
Yeah, and kind of it, if you don't have somebody like that around you, you don't feel like doing what you did before, just to go and play Don't Tell Mamas. You know what I mean? When Dangerfields was big, it was a great place to go and sing, and I loved it. I really loved it, and the Playboy Club and those places, but they're not around, so it's kind of like there's not a field to perform in.
Well, Anne, before we bring our next guest on, your book, it just is truly hot off the press. How can people purchase your book?
Oh, they can go to Amazon.
And the name of the book, everyone, is called Facing Forward.
Yes, Facing Forward. Here, I'll put it up here. Facing
Forward. What I love about this book, there's a lot of name dropping in the book, but it's not gossipy. It's like the people along the way who have made and helped shape Anne's life, and she helped shape their lives as well. So I couldn't put the book down. It's really
Thank
incredible.
You. So thank you, Richard. Thank you.
You get to bring on our next guest. Pick a number, 1 or 2.
2.
And Danielle, do you want to tell him a little bit about our next guest? Because you know him.
It's Doug. Is it Doug McAllister?
Yes, it is.
Let me see. Well, this is Doug McAllister. Doug is also a very talented singer and enjoys creating artwork that he shares online and is very in tune with his spirit animals and is very in his Saint Nick spirit today. So I'm so happy to see you, Doug.
Now, Doug, you're not in front of your Christmas tree today.
I think you're muted.
Doug, you're muted. Doug, you're muted.
Is Doug is he with the boat business too?
In what business?
Is he in the boat business?
No.
Okay, because there is somebody called Doug McAllister who has McAllister Tugs.
No, that's not a different okay. Doug. Doug, can you hear us?
If you had headphones in and then you took them out, sometimes it's just better without them, I noticed.
So, Doug.
Maybe he can, there we go. He can go out and come back in.
Well, while we're waiting, I'm going to bring on our next guest because this woman, Claudine Jellison, her year has been bookended by awards. The year began with her winning the Bistro Award for her show, Hello, Frenchie. And she just got nominated for the Broadway World Award. So, Claudine,
Oh,
congratulations.
thank you. Thank
Congrats.
you. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
Talk
Well,
about bookending your year.
yeah, no, it has bookended the year. It's made it, it's interesting because I think you talk about, I have a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with something. I've always sung, it's always been my passion, but I was diagnosed with something called a vocal tremor a couple of years ago. But I sang through it. And then during the pandemic, I don't know if it was the stress of the pandemic or, and we were talking about losing someone. My father passed, and a couple of other things. My best friend's mother, who was like my second mother, she passed. And I think the stresses, and that's what the doctors told me, made it much worse. So I didn't have, quote, my voice, the voice, the octaves and the pitch. So I had to do Hey Frenchie because it was my dad's story. So I wasn't going to throw it out. It was been planned for March 2020 and come in the garbage. So I had to do it. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm not even going to advertise it. I'm just going to do it because I have to do it. And I did it. And then Sydney and my director, Barry Kleinbort.
Meyer, for those who don't know.
Yeah, my director, Barry Kleinbort, were pushing me to do it again. And I just sort of said, well, if I'm going to do it again, then I'm going to try to get press. And I had a fairy godmother who had been a director I worked with ages ago, who got all the bistro people out there. And that's, Sherry came, and Sherry Eager, and a bunch, and it just kind of, I did it many times over the course of the year. And it was a gift, that was my gift from God. It was just and it showed me something. So I'm working on a new piece, looking forward, about age and love. And it's starting to take a little bit of shape. We'll see what happens with it.
Well, what I love about this journey that you've been on this year is that you appeared with Dr. Judy Bloom and myself before your show opened, and you were just telling us about the show and the fear that you had about the show. You didn't know whether you were going to have the voice to do it, all these fears. The show opens and it's like boom, 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 boom. It's rave review, rave review, rave review, rave review, Bistro Award. And then, you're nominated for a Broadway World Award. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I just can't diminish any of that. It's so wonderful. And it's interesting because, you go through your whole life with a beautiful voice, and then you don't have a beautiful voice, and you find out that the beautiful voice was not what the performing was about.
Thank you. Well, Mabel Mercer, I mean, her major aspect of her career happened when she didn't have the voice that she thought she had.
Right.
And Judy Garland, some of her most poignant concerts was when she was struggling with a voice. It's what you bring to the table.
Right. Yeah. I when I was younger, I waited tables at Cleo's for 4, maybe 5 weeks, just so I could watch Mabel Mercer. And I think I was like about 20 something. And I was in love with her, and I'm going back to her now as I'm working on this new piece. So, yeah.
I'm going to bring a comment on screen because I think it's worth bringing on screen from Robert Yako. Claudine has been brilliant from the get-go. I had the privilege of being on stage with her many moons ago. So speaking of moons today, so there it is. So thank you, Robert. Thank you for that. You're now going into this next chapter with, and I'm also writing a new show, which is it's nerve-wracking. putting something together.
Yeah.
Last Saturday night was my first time in front of an audience in 3 years. And everything just came together. It was Leroy Reams opened our show last week with Be Our Guest. And it just felt so incredible to be in front of an audience again. And just as we're coming out of this, COVID is on the rise again, everyone.
Yeah.
So, we have to, everyone get boosted, please get boosted. Do what you need to do. I'm going to bring Doug back on again. And Doug, can you hear us now?
I can.
Perfect.
There we go.
All right.
So I said earlier, you're not in front of your Christmas tree tonight.
Well, I brought one back.
Okay.
While I waited, I put one behind me. My naked
Always
tree.
carry a spare.
So Doug, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you? You
I'm
guys
doing
are looking great.
Well, you've got a big surgery ahead of you.
I do, and I just came from the doctor looking at my other one today.
And?
Luckily, it's not broken or anything. It's just I've been overworking this one because I've been leaving this other guy alone. So,
yeah.
But no, it's great. Just
You're-
didn't want to share downstairs because it's a pretty much disaster right now. It's not my favorite room.
It's not?
No.
I thought it was because of the decorations and everything. He was decorated for. Well, can I tell them the story?
Absolutely.
Okay, Doug is having a shoulder replacement surgery, and it was originally scheduled in early November or late October, and so Doug, his entire house was decorated for Christmas at Halloween because he didn't think he was going to be ready or able to decorate his house for Christmas. And then they postponed his surgery to January 10th. So sorry, but
You've got more of a chance to work on that soul loss video, Doug, to make sure that you're all good and you heal
Exactly.
100%.
I could probably recite it.
Yeah. So for those of you who I don't want to leave people out of what we're talking about, I have a episode of my podcast dedicated on my YouTube channel, which is the same at Dees and Lane, that it's here. For anyone who's going through surgery, something that I found in my client work as an energy healer and someone who also practices shamanic healing, sometimes when we go through surgery, it can be such a shock to the system. And part of our consciousness can kind of separate to protect us. And then it could make for a more difficult recovery. So I made a really comprehensive video about kind of prepping and praying and meditating with the self so that doesn't have to happen and people can have better healing.
So those of you who watch the show on a regular basis on Fridays know that I have some random questions that I ask. And what I want to do today is I'm going to bring Danielle into the game as well. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question of each of you, and then I'm going to have Danielle build upon that question and go a step further with whatever your answer is. And I'm going to start with you, Ron. And the question is, I want you to reflect on the lessons that you've learned this year, as well as the knowledge and the skills that you've learned this year.
Oh, wow. How do you answer that in 2 seconds? I think I've learned to be a lot more patient. I've had a lot of things happening that I wished had happened faster and sooner. But I really feel I've learned to be calmer and more patient and just let things happen at their own pace.
Well, that's wonderful. And patience is something that I think everyone really needs to work on at some point in their life. How about this, Richard? Instead of me building on and giving a response to their answer, what if as we go around, I let them ask a question and I give them an answer?
That sounds good to me. Go ahead.
So, Ron, do you have a question that you would like some guidance on?
Uh, well, no, I was just curious though. You mentioned earlier, I know you're not an astrologer, but you did make a reference earlier to Jupiter and Pisces, and I actually am a Pisces myself, a
Me too.
Piscean, Pisces. Yep. And I was just wondering if things changing as they will be uh, would have any impact on me personally
Yes,
or
well,
people
you
who.
know, even yeah, so even beyond the astrological aspects, I utilize astrology, but more as a guide, as a potential roadmap. So Pisces, as you know, very creative, very tapped and tuned into the emotions. What I would say is what's coming up, because I channel directly as well, is utilize that power of the emotion, and specifically any emotion that would provoke crying for you, whether those are happy tears or sad tears, there's something in there that's going to really help propel one of your shows or one of the writing aspects forward. So, taking even 15 minutes before you sit down to work on something, especially if at any point you feel stuck or are looking for more significant momentum in that area, and tapping into the heart based emotions that you may have been ignoring or that sometimes you may bypass to get on with your day, and just sit in the either sadness or gratitude, whatever it is that gets you to that place, and then step into the work with the honoring of that and ask that kind of water. You can even picture water, if you like, buoying you and lifting you up to the place where the answers or the words you need can come more easily.
I love that. Thank you. And
I'm
I'm
glad you
actually
missed that
writing a song
question.
right now about water. So
Oh,
that's more
perfect. Yeah,
apropos than
I'm
you
seeing
even
a
know.
lot of the
Yeah.
water, so that's wonderful. Keep working with that.
Thank you.
And since you're
You're
writing a song about water, think of Skipper. And I'm also an Aquarius. So,
Always.
welcome.
Anne, my question for
And
you
got my mug.
is, what do you have to deliberately have to learn next year to be a better adult?
What have I learned?
What do you have to deliberately learn next year to be a better adult?
Huh, deliberately learned. I'm trying to think. Well, I drink a lot of water. That helps. That helps a lot. Um, I think I'm trying to do things for people as much as I can. Not that I ever stop doing things, but I try to help out when people are in trouble. And I think that's a lesson that we all have to learn, to help people as much as we can.
Great. And do you have a question for Danielle?
Um, well, I enjoyed her reading about the different aspects of going on. I happen to be a Pisces, so I feel very positive about this year. And I feel that things are really rolling along very well for me. So I think I'm on the right track.
Good.
Okay, well, I can say also that in response to your question, Richard, I think sometimes we need to learn how to reparent ourselves and honor our inner child in order to be a better adult. So, if Anne doesn't have a question, I wanted to share that because I think sometimes we try so hard to be the adult that society or culture wants us to be, when really, we get to make that decision, and it becomes much easier when we know how to honor our own inner child too.
Mhm.
Great.
Yep, that's
And
true.
Claudine, perhaps you've already answered this next question, but
Maybe.
maybe you haven't. What challenges did you overcome this year?
Well, yeah, I think I might have answered it. I think that was the challenge. That was the big personal challenge. Um, I think settling into, I was a performer for many years, and then I became an educator. So that gave me I'm not going to say 9 to 5. It was more like 6 to 6 job, but settling into retirement, I think my challenge right now is realizing that spelling bee is very nice, but I have to put it away and start the day. That's the big challenge right now is getting started with my. It's nice to linger over a cup of coffee, but holiday is over, vacation's over, and I just need to like because I feel better.
Mm,
I feel better when I sit down and write. I feel better when I practice. I feel, I feel better when I read something challenging. So yeah, that's where I need to go.
great.
Okay.
And do you have a question that you would like
Well,
to get?
yeah, I'm a Capricorn, and I've pretty much been true to that, Cappy thing of like the goat climbing the mountain. Um, I guess I've always, uh, and my best friend's a Leo, and she's totally true to Leo. I just kind of constantly wonder about that whole the planets and the how our personalities are formed. That's a big question. You're not going to be able to answer
Yes.
that.
Well, in my experience, because I've been someone who has astral traveled, let's say, for most of my life before I knew what those words were, and so I've experienced things on both sides, and I very much tap and tune into that. And then my guides have helped me to study as many different modalities and things as possible, and I'm really passionate about finding the ways that they can all fit together while still honoring the free will that I believe that we are gifted and the choice that we have while we're here. So what I've seen in terms of astrology and how personalities get assigned almost or templated, as I like to call it, through being born under different aspects is the universe, from how I've seen it, goes through different cycles. And when we choose to come in, which I see as a choice between us and however we see our higher power, we kind of gauge what aspects of life we want to work on. And then, if possible, we try to coordinate that with a time period. And then we see where the cycle is of the planets aligning in certain ways. And then we're born in that way. And we have this kind of roadmap of everything that's trying to teach us the lessons that we give ourselves to learn within that certain lifetime. And so ideally, those aspects of personality and of astrology buoy and lift us up and give us positive inclinations, or sometimes give us reminders of karmas or wounds or things that we want to work on and heal and rid our soul from. So I'm sure some people know there are also aspects called the North Node and the South Node, or Rahu and Ketu, depending on which Western or Eastern astrology you look at. But those aspects kind of illustrate that by teaching us someone's North Node is the direction that their soul really wants to go in, but it's pretty uncharted territory. And their South Node is really comfortable for them. So it's the things that they've probably done many lifetimes before, if you believe in multiple lifetimes, the things that come easy, but will kind of keep them stuck at a plateau. And ideally, every life you want to be growing and going towards that higher plane.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the morning, I'll think about moving north when I get
Yes.
up. Yes.
Yeah, and everybody can look up. You can look up your chart, by the way, and almost all the free charts that you can find online. You can look where the North Node is.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Doug, what is the best thing that you feel that has happened to you this year?
You know, you and Danielle
Oh,
and Wayne Lucas has been the best thing that's happened to me this year.
Aw.
You got me started, Richard, and Danielle, you have got me all over the board. We went and saw Avatar underwater yesterday.
Oh, I'm
Oh
jealous.
my gosh! And I'm I'm a seahorse, so I was just like seahorse and dolphins, and oh my god! So I was there with Idolo, so we were watching all these underwater things, and so now I'm just all over the board. Now I'm a worm. So So last year has been incredibly exciting for me, mind opening. I think I'm working on that third eye, but I don't know. But yeah, I could talk with you for hours. I just always got something going. You cause me to think in different directions. So like I'm retired, but I'm retired from. I think I'm already entering another life. So I am chasing other rainbows. So
Just embrace those Christmas elves I've sent you.
I haven't gotten them yet. Did you send me? Oh yes, those. I will embrace those.
Okay, great. Do you have a question for Danielle?
Yeah, do
Oh,
you
I
have a
do. I
question?
do.
Okay.
Danielle, my questions are always about the other side and who's talking to me and who's ready.
Right.
I lost a dear friend, as I told you, just maybe a month ago, and she actually was a designer and did a lot of creative stuff for Fitz and Floyd. And
Okay.
so I have so many Christmas things that I know she designed that touch me, and I see her in every one of them. And I just would let her know that I care about her, but I wonder if she's there wanting to send me any message.
You know what I'm seeing actually are some black and white photographs that are very specific and very close up on the face. I'm also seeing her, she's showing me like pearl bracelets. So maybe some of the decorations have pearl on them or pearl aspects, but she's pointing out kind of white fur and pearl as being significant. So as you go through them, you might find something with that kind of look or aesthetic. She absolutely knows and has been around. I also hear very strongly not to feel like you have to hold on to all of them. There may be points where you can gift some of those and incorporate them into other people's homes as well. And she just wanted to let you know that would be okay with her and honoring of her if you were to do that, so that you wouldn't have to be overwhelmed with having all of those, and also not feel guilty for not having space maybe to put all of them out.
True. Cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I would look for, do you have photographs like that of her? Or do you know that she took very close up photographs of the face, kind of glamour shots?
Yeah, she's an actress as
Okay.
well. So there's a lot of headshots.
Yeah.
She's been in some movies and things like that, but
Yeah.
she's
She's pointing me to more of a kind of 50s aesthetic of the glamour shot. So I would look for those. Those feel really significant. She's also pointing that one of them, and you'll know it when you see it, is really easy for her to use to project her energy through. It is a black and white close up, probably headshot of her. And she is very much able to look through that. And so if you want to and choose to keep it out or keep it in a place where sometimes you can open a book and look at it, know that if you look into her eyes in that photo, she's really primed and ready to be able to look back at you, maybe and feel like you see some movement in it.
Well, I'll have to search. She's my ex-wife's sister, so that was a challenge, but
yeah,
she was always
I don't
special
feel
to
any
me.
animosity. I do feel, so she would be aunt to your kids then?
Yes.
She's looking over the three is what she's telling me. So
Always
just so that
did.
you know. Yeah.
If it wasn't for
And
her, they wouldn't know how to play baseball, I'm telling you.
Wow.
and she's also talking to me about coffee. Was she a big coffee drinker, or did you have something where you were thinking of her recently while you were drinking coffee?
It could be. I drink coffee constantly, so
Okay. 'Cause she's talking to me about like communication during coffee drinking. So it might be upcoming as well. One day when you're alone drinking coffee, you may feel a presence and not be able to identify it. And then you could think back to now and know that it's her.
awesome. Man, there's because of you, no moss is growing on me, I'm telling you.
That's great.
That's
Yeah, she's in
wonderful.
good spirits though, just so you know.
Good.
She's okay with everything. I do feel something around her chest. So, did she have a lung issue that was coordinated with her passing?
Oh my God, that's exactly right. She's
Okay.
had a lung issue all her life.
Yeah. So
So
she just wanted to bring up, a key identifier from something around the time of her passing. It's no longer an issue for her, but if people are very heavy in their grief about her, because I'm getting some changes in my breathing now just because of her energy fields interacting. If people are very heavy in their grief tends to sit in the lungs in most people anyway. So if people are unresolved with their issues about her or with other aspects of grief, and then they're kind of praying to her or wishing for her energy around,
yeah.
they may feel like they have some lung issues, but that's not really going to be associated with their health.
Wow,
Although, of
that's
course, you should always get checked if you need to.
true.
But it could be associated with her just being present and them not acknowledging so much of their grief.
I also wanted to say how much what you just said earlier in the show about being punished
Yeah.
for taking your own life, and because I have a lot of friends that has happened with, and I always find it incredibly sad. And people always say, "Well, they're going to hell." I said, "Are they? Are they really?"
No.
And
Well, in my experience, I have visited lower density realms. Hell is a construct, and the way that higher power has shown it to me, every soul creates their own heaven or hell, and then those planes can interact. And so we do that based on how we think results should happen from how we lived our lives. Sometimes higher power gets involved, but very rarely in a punishing way. It's more in a way of, this is the way the system is designed to keep itself running.
yeah,
And sometimes higher power has even embraced people that take their lives, which is not an endorsement for anyone to do it. But I have seen some spirits say that they were embraced by higher power, and higher power was completely like, well, you made it as long as you could, and I'm proud of you. So
that's
there is no
great.
punishment. Yeah,
One
there's no
thing,
punishing aspect, but in my experience, when a soul does go that route, they have more to deal with the next
yeah.
time around, and they have very deep wounds. So it's not something that's advisable.
So I have a lot of white roses I bring in the house this time of year because those are all my past people.
Yeah.
The red ones are people I love that are still around, but the white roses, they're just around and they know who they are. So it's kind of
That's
fun. Well,
beautiful.
thanks, Danielle.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So
Richard,
Danielle,
did we have
I have
questions from anyone in the comments if we have a few minutes?
yes, if anyone in the comments have a question, and while we're waiting for that, I have a question for you. What are your major goals for 2023?
Well, I really want to focus more on one-on-one healing clients. That's not something that I have on my website besides a contact form at this time, because I like to build custom packages for people that are ready to go into the healing or the life and consciousness coaching work. I've graduated a bunch of students and clients from that realm, and it's much deeper work than we're typically able to get to in session. And I'm really passionate about that kind of transformational aspect. So I would love to have more of those type of clients, and also teach some more classes, because I love doing online group work and classes and group things like that.
That's great. Well, I've got a public service announcement. May I share that with everyone? This is my public service announcement, everyone.
Hello, Richard Skipper Celebrates family. Happy and blessed holidays, everybody. I am so thankful to have gotten to know so many of you this past year. And if you've been wanting to work with me, I wanted to let you know I'm having holiday specials on my website, Damsel Designs, DAMCLdesigns.com, with buy one, get one holiday offers, gift certificate specials, payment plans, and more. There really is no shortage of ways to work with me this season, or to invest in energy for yourself or your loved ones. I would love to help connect you even beyond the worlds of spirit and spirit animal medicine, and help you understand more of your own energy, work through patterns, deep dive, and rise to create the life that you love. I will see you in the comments, and happy holidays, everyone.
Wow.
Great. So
Thank you.
Doug and I can both vouch. It's a great gift to not only yourself, but to anyone else that you would like to give a great gift to. I'm going to give my closing remarks. This hour has flown. Danielle, I hope that you'll be able to join me again next month. We'll pick the date that we'll do that. I'm going to
Yeah.
give my closing remarks, and then I'm going to have Ron, you do it. Then Anne, Claudine, Doug, and then Danielle, you'll have the final comments today. It could be about anything that we talked about today that you want to build upon, anything we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any final message that you want to leave everyone with today. And as you all know, this month I stepped away from Facebook for the month, and it's been a very interesting journey. Next Friday, I will be stepping back on Facebook for the day, just
Good.
for the day. I've decided that I will come back on one day each month, just as a check-in, just to say hello to everybody, to do a Facebook Live, let everybody know what's going on in my life, and to see anyone who wants to check in with me and let me know what's going on in their lives, your lives. The word that I pulled this morning is resourcefulness. And I think about everything that we talked about today and the resourcefulness that's within our hearts, within our souls, and within reach of each of us. It's all right here. It's not something that's out there. It's something that if we take the time each day, it's within each of us. The reason, and I will sound like a broken record to some, that I needed to step away from Facebook was that I wanted to be more than just an item in someone's newsfeed. It's very important for me, and I've learned a lot about myself. So, one of the things that I'm hoping as I go into the new year is I'm interested in doing workshops on how we can utilize social media in a positive way and how we can interact with each other outside of social media. Because I feel that it's something that we're learning or that we're losing in our culture. Uh, Danielle and I are both empaths, and that empathic way of dealing with each other is something that is sorely missing in terms of how we deal with grief, how we deal with celebrating each other. It's something that we really need to get in touch with each other again. And that's something that I really want to really tap into as I go into 2023. I end every show, as you all know, by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Sit down in your silence and think of somebody you haven't spoken to in a while and reach out with a phone call. Trust me, a name is going to pop right into your head. I'm sure as I say this right now, some name has popped into every one of your heads. Think about it. Reach out to that person with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call. And let that person know what they mean in your life. As my dear friend Sean Monager always says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And someone sent me a meme, and it says, we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. Some of us are on yachts. Some of us are in canoes. Some of us are in kayaks. Some of us are in dinghies. Two men and their dogs were lost at sea for 10 days this week. They survived because of their faith, their holding on to each other, and their belief that they were going to get through it. It doesn't always get you through that storm, but no matter what size boat you're on, make sure if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure if you're writing a song about water or boats or anything, that you've got a skipper by your side. So on that note, I'm going to leave the screen, and Ron, I'm going to turn it over to you, followed by Anne, Claudine, Doug, and then Danielle. Thank you. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. And I will see you here next Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you, Richard. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, whatever you may celebrate or not celebrate. But I would also like to especially celebrate Richard Skipper, and I have my mug right here, and you should all get one. And
Give me my
I'm
mug.
so grateful that he has become a good friend. I'm so grateful for new friends like Danielle and like all of you,
No.
and I'm grateful for people in my life, my wonderful wife and my mom and just everybody who supports me every day, and I hope I can live up to what they try to do for me and do the same for them. And so happy holidays, everybody, and thank you for having me here with you.
Thank you, Ron. Anne, I think you were next.
Richard, here's to you. Thank you. You really made a difference in my life. Thank you so very much for what you've done and how you've helped me with my book. And that review, I just tell you, I bless you. May you have a wonderful new year. And I hope all your friends appreciate you the way I do. Here's to you, Richard.
Well, I don't have a mug, but I do want to thank Richard because I think he's just been absolutely wonderful. I think this is now the third or fourth time I've been on, and I just love the conversation. But I love December, and I love that December does bring us closer in a way that's not transactional, that's in a way that's just actually thinking about each other and giving to each other. I love, Doug, when you talked about the white roses and the red roses. And I need to get myself some in the house. I always have one or the other, but I never thought about the both. So I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and love.
Like I said, that Richard and Danielle have been an inspiration, needless to say, in my life this year. Every day is a new day. I can't believe I'm getting older and they're replacing all my body parts. But I know with my friends they'll get me through. I try to share that with everybody that I can. So I guess I need to be ordering a bunch of gift certificates. I encourage everybody to touch base with Danielle. She is spot on. She knows her business. She's it's just incredible what she has done for me, and
Thank you.
I appreciate the work. And in response to being a worm, that I need to talk and promote myself. Be sure
Yes.
to check out YouTube, search my name, and see what I do. They're a little rough, but they'll give you all an idea of my singing. So, how was that, Danielle?
Very
I
good.
love you guys.
2023, more singing with the new body parts.
Exactly. I hope they don't interfere with the sound systems. But
No,
anyway, I
they'll help.
love you guys. I love you both, and have a great holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and see you all soon.
Thank you, Doug. Love you too. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. And as Richard and Doug so graciously promoted, I do also have ways, if you're still looking for gifts, I do offer gift certificates for sessions on my website. I have 15 kinds of options available on there. So there's really an option and a price point and a payment plan for everyone. If you would like to give someone or yourself the gift of energy and experience this year and get some insights to plan a year that you want going forward in 2023. I also want to remind people that as we face these last weeks of the year, no matter which holidays we're celebrating, which of course, happy all the holidays to everyone, sometimes we can feel that stress or that pressure to complete things. As Richard said, it is the last quarter moon today. And so in my experience, astrology, as we were talking about, is just a kind of hint and a reminder to say, hey, you may want to work on this, and here's some energy help if you would like to work on this. So the last quarter moon is about letting things go or closing accounts or settling debts or karmas. And so many people feel that these last weeks of the year anyway. And sometimes we get really hard and critical on ourselves and believe that we have to finish things up within a certain energy or within a certain time frame, especially within that time frame of the calendar year. I want to encourage you, no matter how important a certain number day may be, or a certain bit of astrology may be, or even a deadline that's on the calendar, you always have the power. Creativity and love are timeless. They take you to a space completely outside of space and time. So the pressure is really all implied. And if you can take some time to go within, if you're feeling that end of the year pressure, or if you're feeling sad or unaccomplished because certain things didn't come to fruition this year, I want to encourage you that while end of the year or end of things are great reminders, they're not set in stone. So you always have more time available as long as you are here and breathing. And I'm so grateful for those of you who choose to utilize that time in working with me, or just by being here and participating in shows such as this that get you thinking and get you thinking about what you want for your life and what you want to bring in terms of blessing to the world of others. So thank you to you for however you do that. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, Damsel Designs, DAMCL Designs.com, or find me on my YouTube channel for more of my content. Happy holidays, everyone. I will see you next time. Be blessed.